Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We'll continue our focus on the EFCC, the activities as it does concern the Ekiti State Governor. He spoke yesterday. We should have that for you now, should we? And then perhaps he's opened up a new vista. But we'll have Chris Nwaokobia, a legal practitioner, joins us this morning to let's look at some legal provisions concerning what guides the actions of the Commission. Thank you for coming on this morning.
My pleasure to be here.
Well, several perspectives, as always, in these kinds of matters. But again, we'd like to focus on the provisions of the law, what it says, and how the Commission and the Governor should proceed on this matter. What do you think of the EFCC's action to freeze the Governor's accounts?
I think that the hoopla that attends the public space about it, it's rather been rather surprising for me. I do sincerely think that the law is clear on it. No matter what we think, the fundamentals are clear. The first thing is that the EFCC has the rights on the law to investigate. And in tandem with Section 5 of the EFCC Act, they have proceeded to investigate. But what is fundamentally important is that most of the people who are making debates in the public space are talking about the provision of Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution, which provides for immunity for the office of Mr. President, the Deputy President, or the Vice President, and then the Governor and the Deputy Governor of the state. And that provision for immunity does not preclude the right to investigate. What it precludes is the right to prosecute. And I think that when you talk about the fundamentals as it pertains investigating a crime, the law, the motive of the law is to ensure that nobody first is above the law and nobody is allowed to commit a crime and get away with it. The reason you have immunity is so that officials of government are not distracted from carrying their duties. Now, has the EFCC infringed on that constitutional provision? The answer is a capital no.
Okay, let's hear the Governor himself. He also spoke lately, so in case you may have missed what he said at the time, let's listen again.
I wish to state clearly that my election was funded 2 years ago by Zenith Bank PLC. Fundraising, donations from friends and associates, as well as sale of campaign souvenirs. I have no financial transaction whatsoever with the Office of the National Security Advisor under Colonel Sambu Dasuki retired, and former Minister of State for Defense, Senator Mustapha Nwaokobia Jnr, either by cash, check, or electronic transfer. I challenge the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to public statements made by Senator Mustapha Nwaokobia Jnr, his son, or any other person associated with money from the NSA's office, where they claimed that they gave me money for the election because, as it is only acting a movie scripted, produced and directed by all progressives Congress government of President Muhammadu Buhari, just to silence me being a major opposition voice in our country today.
Well, of course, Zenith Bank eventually responded to that, dissociating themselves, saying, no, they did not particularly fund that campaign. And you see the rest of that in the subsequent news bulletins. But what law, if you say what the EFCC, that they are within their limits to go on with the action that they have carried out, what law did they rely on to do that?
Beyond the fact that the EFCC Act grants them investigative powers, what you can remove from the law is the fact that there is intention and there is a purpose and there is a letter of the law. And those who have said that the law, Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution, provides for immunity from prosecution, should also understand that it does not provide for immunity against investigation. And that was why the Justice Uwaifo, JSC as his name was, said in the case of Gani Fahimi against the IGP, 7 Nigerian Weekly Report, part 767, page 606, that regarding immunity, it does not include or preclude the rights of the police or investigative officers to investigate anybody in power, whether you have immunity under Section 308. And he used the word, he said, it's beyond dispute whether they can be investigated. And I want to say that fundamentally, what is the intention of the law? If it is not to check crime, then what else is it supposed to do? Because you are in office, you cannot be checked, you cannot be investigated. That's absurd. And I do want to say this, that he went further to say that the law intends to protect the society. And if the investigative officer, if the governor or someone protected under Section 308 is found to have committed an offense, you can investigate and keep the records until the person leaves office, and then you prosecute. Because wife Ojayasi, as it then was, said that one of the things you have to do is just suppose that person involves in an accident and kills somebody, and then takes the car to a mechanical shop and fixes it. Now you destroy the rest, you destroy the evidence. So you have the right to investigate and keep hold of the evidence.
So you don't destroy the rest.
No, you don't. That is exactly what the EFCC has done by freezing the account.
No, but you
the account is suspicious, so you have to preserve the rest.
You just said that they can investigate and keep.
And the way to keep is to freeze the account. Because if you don't freeze the account, then he can access the funds. And when you're ready to prosecute, the funds are gone. The evidence is gone.
All right. The lawyers also say that there's a procedure that the commission has got to follow before you freeze anybody's account, let alone if you're a governor. What laws are those within the EFCC Act, and did they follow it?
Yes, they did. You know, the right to use an ex parte motion, the right to use an ex parte motion to enforce the freezing of an account, it is valid under the law. And it does not, that's the level, the wide latitude that people are giving to it. It does not necessarily mean that Fayose is on trial, because what it means is that the FCC has gone with an ex parte motion to court. Fayose hasn't been invited to court. He's not on trial for the purposes of protecting and preserving the rest.
So wait, you're saying EFCC got an ex parte motion to freeze the account?
To freeze the account, which is valid under the law.
Okay, so can EFCC get an ex parte motion, especially if you look at the provisions of Section 308, as a sitting governor?
Why not? He is not on trial. The ex parte motion does not imply that Fayose is on trial.
No, yesterday, sorry to cut you, yesterday we had Dr. Nanaba, senior advocate. He also was looking at the same section 308. Good thing, you're also a lawyer. But he hinged that on a Supreme Court precedent judgment which used the word absolute powers. So if that word absolute, doesn't that preclude, or rather means that as governor you have some kind of absolute immunity, he said. So this kind of immunity, does it also not mean that you don't have to touch some of his property, like his bank account?
No, I disagree. Let me say this with the greatest sense of respect to the learned senior advocate. When you talk about the right to investigation, the right to investigation does not abridge his immunity.
No, he
and,
agreed.
And the
no,
process,
he
people
agreed.
agree,
Totally
that they can investigate, people agree that they can investigate, and you find something incriminating, what do you do in the process of investigation? Because I think that most often we try to sensationalize and abridge the intent of the law because of partisan proclivities. I say this with the greatest sense of respect. If I can investigate, and I have, take for instance, if he used a gun to shoot someone, is it wrong for the police officer or the EFCC to seize the gun? If the answer is no, then why is it wrong to freeze the account?
You said they can investigate and keep. Now, the reason why some say it's wrong to freeze the account is because they say, number one, you have to go to court.
They have gone to court.
Now, can you go to court given Section 381, which says, notwithstanding anything to the contrary in this Constitution, but subject to subsection 2 of this section, A, no civil or criminal proceedings shall be instituted or continued against a person to whom this section applies during the period of him being in
What is the
office.
intention of subsection 2?
And then it says B, a person to whom this section applies shall not be arrested or imprisoned during the period either in pursuance of the process of any court or otherwise. And it goes on, no process of any court requiring or compelling the appearance of a person to whom this section applies shall be applied for or issued.
Chamberlain,
so how can you go
Chamberlain,
to court?
beautiful, you just read it.
If
Requiring the appearance or the presence. The ex parte motion does not require. That's why I said, what does subsection 2 say? The ex parte motion does not require the appearance of Governor Fayose.
Okay, so if
the EFCC has not erred in any way.
All right,
the EFCC is trying to protect our corporate morality. The EFCC is trying to ensure that nobody makes benefit from malfeasance, and that's exactly what they're doing.
If you get an ex parte motion to, as you say, you can investigate and keep, how long does an ex parte motion last for?
The fact is that the account has been frozen, and the responsibility of the ex parte motion has been taken care of.
How long does it last for?
For as long as the investigation, the investigation lasts, because the truth is,
can it last for 2 years?
The investigation process in criminal proceedings does not have a lifespan.
No, he's talking about the ex parte motion.
I'm talking about the ex parte motion.
It is not the motion here now, it's the freezing of the account.
No, but I'm talking about the ex parte motion.
It was also hinged on the ex parte motion, because otherwise they lack some kind of legality to do that.
No, but the point is that for as long as the investigative process, because the reason, if you read the letter, it is for the process, the purposes of investigation. For as long as the process of investigation is ongoing.
Does an ex parte motion last beyond 2 weeks?
No, it doesn't. Now, but listen, you don't.
So what's the point?
No, it is not ex parte motion qua ex parte. It is for the purposes of protecting the rest, and the rest is the subject of the ex parte motion.
So you want to protect the rest for just 2 weeks?
No, you're not protecting the rest for just 2 weeks. You're protecting the rest for as long as the investigative process.
Then the ex parte motion can work, can it?
They can go back to the just like they went to the court
until 2 years
to keep Femi Fani-Kayode in custody. They can go back to court. What is important for me and for the masses of our country is the fact that every well-meaning Nigerian must aggregate at that parlor where the parlor's tendencies of corruption is dealt with.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.